Cool. I hope everyone's okay with being recorded. Let me know if you're not. But my name's Richard. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I am based out of Dublin, and I'm out of town currently, but I'm usually based out of Dublin. I will popcorn it over to Ryan.
Thanks, Richard. Hi, everyone. My name's Ryan. I use he, him pronouns. I am a legislative aide in Senator Scott Wiener's office. I staff transportation, including Senate Bill 532, which is why I'm here today. Thanks for all that you do.
Ryan, feel free to popcorn.
Sorry, and I will popcorn it to Annie.
Hello, I'm Annie. I use they, them pronouns, and as James was referencing a few moments ago, I'm on the executive board of the Alameda County Democratic Party as the recording secretary, and I am based out of Fremont. And I will popcorn it over to Tina.
Hello, Tina Posner, she, her, hers. I'm in Oakland, and I'll popcorn it to James.
Hi, everybody. My name is James Chang. I'm from Berkeley, California. My pronouns are he, him. Thank you so much. And I'm going to popcorn it to Olivia.
Hey everyone, I'm Olivia. I use she, they pronouns. I am usually based in Oakland, but currently back home in Tennessee visiting family. And I am a board member at large for EBYD. Erica, popcorn to you.
Hi everyone, I'm Erica. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the vice president of programming for EBYD. And I'm also based in Oakland. And I will popcorn it to Megan.
Hey everybody, Megan Imperial, she, her, hers, president of EBYD. And I'm based out of Oakland as well. I just had a brain fart, but I think that was the only piece. I'll popcorn over to Caleb.
Hi, I'm Caleb, he, him pronouns. I'm vice president of membership. So if you're curious, if you're up to date on your dues, I'm the person to give a holler to. And I'm based out of Oakland. Let's see, and who hasn't gone yet? Victor, have you gone yet? Maybe they're away from the microphone.
Not yet,
So
but
go
I can
ahead,
go.
there you are. Sure.
Hey everyone, apologies. I'm at a work event that I had to speak at. Victor Flores, he, him, his. I am an EBYD member, but VP of Finance for the Latine Young Democrats of the East Wing. And I will popcorn it to Maria.
Hi everyone, thank you, Victor. Hi everyone, my name is Maria Flores Rodriguez and I am based out of Oakland. I'll popcorn it to Rutilo.
Hi everybody, my name is Rutilo. I also go by Junior. I'm not involved in this is like my second meeting coming, and so I'm super excited to be here. Just excited to hear what y'all talk about. But yeah, I'm based out of San Leandro, and I'll pass over to Ruben.
Hey everyone, my name is Ruben Hernandez Story, he, him, ed pronouns, based out of Berkeley. I'm comms director for EBYD and president of the Latina Young Dems. And I'll pop on over to Vilma.
Hi everyone, this is my first meeting, so I'm hopefully introducing myself correctly. I'm based in Oakland and I'm a public school teacher. And yeah, very excited to learn about the work you all do.
Vilma, feel free to popcorn to someone.
How about Alondra?
Yeah, I've been gone. Hi, I'm Alondra, she, her pronouns. I'm the CWD Latina Caucus Vice Chair, located in San Francisco. Also, sorry, I'm at work. But yeah, I don't know who else has not gone. So Richard, can you help me with that?
Sure, I can call on someone. I'll call on Denard.
Thanks, Richard. Hi, everyone. My name is Denard. I am based in Oakland. Former EBYD member now. I don't know what my like official membership title is. I think it's like honorary member or something. And I don't know who else. I think that's everyone, yeah.
I think Gordon hasn't gone, Amber hasn't gone, so let's go in that order. And
That's
then, yeah,
Gordon.
no worries.
Hi everyone, my name is Gordon. I'm an EBYD member, relatively new, and I'm currently based out of Emeryville. I'll popcorn it over to Amber.
All right, hi everyone. My name's Umber, pronouns he, him, his. I'm also a new member, well, relatively new, and I'm based out of Fremont.
Thanks, everyone. Is there anyone who didn't get to go? Okay, cool. And I want a special shout out to Vilma because it's always exciting to have new members join. And we hope obviously you stick around and let us know if you have any questions on EBYD or what we're doing here. Cool, so I don't see Celine yet in here, so I'll go ahead and push forward with her part. We're gonna talk about Senate Bill 532 here. Ryan's gonna talk a little bit about that bill, and then we're actually going to move the candidate endorsements committee up, well, specifically a short update on our state Senate District 7 forum that's coming up in 3 days, and hope folks can make it to that because I know James has some updates there, and he's busy and has stuff later this meeting that he has to attend to. So that's the order we're gonna switch it up to a little bit, but Ryan, feel free to talk about State Senate Bill 532, and feel free to link anything in the chat if you need to.
Got it. Thank you very much. Thanks, Richard. And everyone, I have like some slides that I'll use to like present just like some more info about the legislation. But yeah, again, my name's Ryan, presenting Senate Bill 532, which Senator Wiener recently introduced to bridge the remainder of transit operating shortfalls that agencies are facing. He's done a lot of budget advocacy with widespread support across the state to increase transit funding so that agencies that are recovering from the pandemic are able to maintain their operations and prevent major service cuts that would disproportionately impact low-income transit-dependent riders. So this bill is a second salvo in an effort to prevent these cuts. And I'm going to turn off my camera so I have enough bandwidth while I share my screen. Oh, could someone give me the participant like sharing capability?
I will make you a co-host right now.
Thank
Let me
you.
know if you have it.
Yeah, I can do it now.
Okay,
Thanks.
cool.
Okay. So can everyone see my screen? Yeah. Right. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Awesome. So essentially, transit operators in the Bay Area specifically are facing a cumulative $2.5 billion with a B dollar shortfall over the next 5 years, this fiscal year until fiscal year 27-28. This is due in large part because of shifting ridership trends and ridership declines from the pandemic's major shift to remote work that we saw. So the federal government early on in the pandemic stepped in with major amounts of financial aid, both to transit agencies and local governments to maintain core services, including transit, that they were providing to their communities. So transit agencies were able to sustain operations early through the pandemic with that funding, but that federal funding is expiring now, with agencies projected to exhaust that funding in the next fiscal year or two. So that's why you see these deficits kind of increase steeply in the next few years as they exhaust that federal funding. Now, if these deficits weren't to be funded somehow, then we would we would see major service cuts. And we received about $400 million through the state budget to avert those service cuts. Now, this chart just illustrates that like transit agencies can't cut their way out of this. If we cut costs, we won't be able to cut enough costs to prevent major service cuts. And the agencies that are going to see service cuts, like especially AC Transit, BART, Muni, and Caltrain, and Golden Gate Transit, account for 80% of transit ridership in the Bay Area. The impact on transit-dependent riders will be severe. We expect like many people to have to buy cars and drive more, increasing pollution and also spending more money on transportation than they otherwise would have with transit. You know, BART has told us that they would need to close entire stations, close an entire line, end weekend service, or end service at 9 p.m. These are some of the scenarios that we're facing if these shortfalls are not averted. And this is just a bit of a breakdown about what we were able to secure in terms of funding. So we were able to secure $400 million for public transit operations in new money that wasn't already allocated towards like capital projects of some sort to help expand the system. That could help prevent these shortfalls. The orange is how much we're projecting to receive in funding from the state rescue package over the next few years. And the blue is the overall need projected by transit operators. So it does not meet, we still have major shortfalls that we have to deal with. And we did look for other potential opportunities to raise revenues other than a bridge toll measure. I probably should have said what we did propose, which is what Senate Bill 532 is, which is a $1.50 bridge toll increase to fund transit operations. However, we did not come to that decision lightly to propose increasing the toll for a 5-year period temporarily. We looked at a variety of other ways to raise revenues and determined that they all were unfortunately not possible to implement on the timeline that we needed to. Bridge tolls are unfortunately the only solution at this point that provide a high level of certainty and funding security for the agencies that can be enacted and can raise sufficient funds to bridge the remaining funding gap for Bay Area transit agencies until we do secure a long-term sustainable funding source, ideally in 2026. We have raised bridge tolls previously and have used them to fund transit operations. It's not unprecedented. The scale to which we're proposing to do so is new, and it's because of the emergency situation that we're in. So yeah, I wanted to just provide some of those slides and an overview. In summary, we have proposed a $1.50 bridge toll increase out of revenues in the near term. We need to raise something to provide agencies the opportunity to maintain their service prior to them being able to go to the ballot. Their earliest opportunity to go to the ballot is 2026 due to polling, which is right now below the 2/3 supermajority that would be required for them to enact a revenue source to fund transit operations. So we're in a bit of a pickle, but we are working on analyzing different proposals to mitigate the impact of the toll increase on people who drive more frequently across bridges out of the need to do so, who may have lower incomes. And we are also working on accountability measures to make sure that the funding is associated with improvements to the rider experience to improve voter outlook for a future regional measure, and make sure that the funding is targeted to those agencies that need it. So that's just a general gist of it. Our encouragement would be for EBYD to take a support position on the legislation and to use your network to push legislators in your districts to support the bill at the state level. The bill is currently in the Assembly Appropriations Committee. It is expected to be what's called a suspense candidate and be on and because it will be a quote unquote suspense candidate or a bill with a fiscal impact, it will either be allowed to advance on September 1st, or it will be held, which means it will either die or become a 2-year bill that could move forward potentially next year. And regional support and consensus is needed to help the bill move forward from its current position in the Appropriations Committee. So that's all I have. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Ryan. Feel free, anyone who has comments, questions, whatever, raise your Zoom hand and Ryan can call on you. Any questions from anyone?
Yeah, can you just speak to some of the opposition messaging in terms of this disproportionately hurting communities of color? I don't personally believe that. I believe that this will benefit them, but I think that for anyone who may have that thought in terms of bridge tolling, can you just speak on that impact?
Yeah, so we conducted some, based on those claims, which we also felt were suspicious. We conducted an analysis of bridge toll demographic, just like corridor usage of the bridges. One of the sponsors of our bill, Spur, teamed up with a data platform called Replica, which works. It's basically a platform that has developed a model similar to transportation demand modeling that agencies use to model like travel demand and demographics. And they basically use census data, cell phone data, credit card transactions, and other inputs to determine demographic data of activities in regions. So using that model, we determined that in general, those who use bridge toll, those who are crossing the Bay Area's state-owned bridges, including the Bay Bridge, Richmond San Rafael Bridge, Hayward Bridge, etc., and Carquinez Bridge, those bridges tend to be higher income more highly income than they were prior to the pandemic. So in general, the median income of transit of those who drive across the bridges has increased, and it's increased faster than the CPI. So it's not just inflation that's driving these income increases for those bridge users. It's actually like the demographics of the bridge users has become higher income. Additionally, racially, those who do, and then if you look at the income of BART riders incomes are different. They tend to be lower income than those who are crossing the bridges. So if BART had to cut service, and by the way, a round trip BART ticket currently is more expensive than the bridge tolls themselves are for various regions. If you look at racial data, let me see what we have here. In general, drivers crossing Bay Area bridges, yes, they are racially and ethnically diverse, but not more racially and ethnically diverse than the Bay Area as a whole, or relative to BART riders. And that racial and ethnic makeup of drivers has not changed substantially before and after the pandemic. So when you look at it in totality, in general, those who are driving are higher income and less racially diverse than those who are taking transit in the Bay Area. Another thing to mention is that people do use the bridges, of course, to get to work, and some people do cross the bridges multiple times a week or 5 times a week to get to jobs that are in person. We looked at the frequency of like how many times do people cross the bridges, and based on data that we've been provided by DATA, which is the authority that operates the bridges, the vast majority of drivers cross a bridge once a week. So 67% of drivers are only crossing a Bay Area bridge once per week. And that hasn't changed significantly before and after the pandemic. Before the pandemic, it was 62%, and now it's 7%. So yes, there are portions, there are some much smaller proportions of drivers who are crossing 4 or 5 or more times per week, but they do not make up the vast majority of drivers who are using these bridges. And that's helping us as we, work to identify potential ways to mitigate the impacts of this toll.
Thanks, Ryan. Victor, I see your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. Along the same line of concerns, I know there has been some conversation about potentially addressing some of those equity concerns folks have floated, and I'm curious where the senator has landed on working on providing relief for those who do need it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I guess I'll reiterate, we maintain that that allowing the status quo to continue would be the most inequitable outcome, where there are major service cuts for generally lower income and more racially diverse groups of people in the Bay Area. But in addition to that, since we do recognize that, there are those who do have lower incomes who would, be required to pay this toll increase. Some equity programs that we have proposed and are waiting to see kind of what the feedback is from Senator Wiener's colleagues in the Bay Area caucus are the following. So one is a multi-bridge discount. So if you cross 2 bridges, you get a 50% discount on the second bridge crossing. Another is a toll cap. So fare capping, you might have heard that LA Metro is implementing fare capping, where they provide a maximum dollar amount that you'll pay for transit in a month, and you don't exceed that, even if you pay more, even if you use the system more than that max, dollar amount. So that way, people who don't have enough money up front to pay a monthly pass can work their way up to the month to like a maximum dollar amount and not have to pay more. The concept would be similar. It would be like you cross the bridge. Once you cross the bridge more than, like, for example, 4 times a week, you don't have to pay for each additional time that you cross the bridge. So this can get those who, might have a in-person job, that a job that requires them to be in person, versus give them relief from the toll increase. But then for those who have maybe a hybrid job, like you're a higher income worker who has a hybrid or remote compatible job and you only go in a few times a week, you would still be, paying more for the service. So that's the idea behind that specific proposal. And we're of course open to other, suggestions that people have. But the status of that is that we've proposed those possibilities to members of the caucus and are waiting for their feedback to see, whether that's something that they would be interested in supporting. And of course, interested in hearing your thoughts.
Thanks, James. I see your hand up.
Oh, thank you. So my concern is about passing the 2/3 threshold. I mean, above all else, I think right now the issue with getting people to agree to something like this has to do more with the fact that, like, we have to get people to want to take BART, right? Like, there is like some serious just like concerns about safety, about like whether or not it feels nice to take BART, and the fact that, like, maybe if you're taking an Uber to work through the bridge, you can work while you're on the way to work instead of like there's not being Wi-Fi, like all these things about just usability. Like, will there be some like form of campaign to make sure that like BART is like something that everybody wants to use, so they are like incentivized to want to fund this?
Yeah, so I guess the short answer is yes, and I can describe, what's in the bill and what we're looking at considering as well. So currently in the bill, there are like an eligible expense, reliability, and security improvement eligibility for the funds to be used. Now, BART has done a lot of things to address concerns of their service, but they have more work to do. So they have greatly increased like the number of they have employed to clean the service due to the rider declines it saw from the remote work shift. In addition to that, the agency, it has taken a two-pronged approach to addressing safety and security concerns on their system. So they have invested greatly in their unarmed ambassador program. Again, those are investments that would be at risk if they had to, cut service or do layoffs, engage in layoffs because they need to cut costs. So that's the unarmed ambassador program that improves unarmed progressive policing tactics, not progressive policing, sorry, progressive outreach tactics to reach people in need of services. They have also provided a market adjustment to pay for police officers to address concerns of those who feel that an increased police presence, visible police presence on the system would improve the feeling of safety, security, and reliability. Now, I recognize, and I think BART recognizes that there are different views on how to address those concerns, and they're taking a both and approach at this point in time. But the point is, any of those strategies will be at risk without funding. So again, we provide the eligibility to fund safety, security, reliability, and cleanliness improvements. One example is BART is trying to replace all of their fare gates to deter fare evasion with a design approach as opposed to a policing approach. And that is not a fully funded project yet. They need more funding to actually execute that program. And technically, this bill would provide a fund. Imagine that BART will likely be using funds it receives from this program for maintaining like transit operators, et cetera, the others who are crucial to operating the system. On the accountability side, things that we have also proposed are requiring the transit agencies, including BART, to move forward on fare integration. So we are proposing extending starting and extending a free and reduced cost transfer pilot program, which the region has agreed to do, but has not yet begun to implement and doesn't have enough funding for more than an 18-month period. So we're providing a little bit of funding for that from our bill to extend it so that BART does become a more attractive option, because you don't have to pay to use multiple systems each time you use multiple systems for one trip. Additionally, we are also requiring agencies like BART that are expected to receive a large amount of funds from this bill to provide detailed delay reports. So as a frequent BART rider myself, there are many times where BART is just for some reason very delayed, and it's frustrating. Non-reliable mode of transportation. Of course, there are many good reasons that there can be delays, but we're basically proposing to require that they provide a report to the region's MPO, MTC, about the causes of those delays and what strategies we need to implement to reduce or eliminate those delays. So we're proposing a multifaceted approach to address safety, security, reliability, and cleanliness concerns. And the last thing I'll say on that is that, again, if the agencies are forced to cut their service, that there will be the system that could improve itself will be a shell of its former self. It won't be much of a system to improve or to bring riders back to, because it will be operating such a low level of service, have such reduced ridership, that it will be very hard to ramp it back up in the future, hire more workers after having laid off a bunch of workers, and attracting riders who even more so have transitioned to driving cars instead of taking transit.
Thank you very much. We are over time on this item. Are there any last questions? I see, Victor, your motion. Before we get to that, are there any last questions? Cool. Okay, seeing none.
I had a question that I've heard some folks ask about, which is that this funding isn't reserved for BART, and there's some worry from some in the East Bay, which I think includes our representative, that well, there's worry about equity and whether this funding is going to be used for BART or for other Bay Area transit agencies, or how much of the funding would be used for BART.
Yeah, so we make very clear that the bulk of the funding in the bill shall be used to prevent service cuts at agencies, and that the Commission should prioritize preventing service cuts that impact the highest number of riders. So that's especially true for BART, which carries a bulk of the region's ridership. But there's like the Commission is going to be tasked with the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, tasked with evaluating what the overall operating shortfall need is. And since BART has the largest operating shortfall need amongst all of the agencies in the Bay Area, it's fair to say that it's likely that the bulk of the funds will go to BART, but also AC Transit has a sizable cliff too. So there are multiple agencies that represent wide swaths of the East Bay and provide crucial service to the East Bay that are likely to receive the bulk of the funds from this bill.
What about Muni?
So Muni does have a shortfall and is likely to receive funds from the revenues from the bill. That's true.
All right, great. Thank you. We have a motion on the floor by Victor to endorse SB 532. I will just say, with legislative endorsements, we can't. Actually, sorry, Caleb, we can or can't?
This was noticed ahead of time far enough, I believe, so that means we could.
Okay, never mind. Forget what I said. We can actually endorse today. Okay, cool. So Victor moves to endorse SB 532. I see Annie in the chat seconded. So we'll do a round of voting. The options are aye, nay, and abstain for EBYD members. Just a reminder, if you're an EBYD member, that means you paid your dues and have attended at least one EBYD event sometime between the last 21 to 364 days, I believe is what our bylaws say. So if you're a member, we'll go into voting right now. So raise your hand on Zoom if you are in favor of the motion. Oh, and I will raise my hand too. Okay, I saw 13 people. Okay, yes, 13. Everybody lower your hands. I saw 14 actually. Okay, I saw 14. There we go. Nora, don't worry, I counted you. 14. All no's, please raise your hand. Any abstentions? Cool. All right, so this motion passes and EBYD has endorsed SB 532. Ryan, feel free to stick around if you would like, but you are not obligated to. And we can follow up if you have any more questions on anything.
Thanks all for your time and consideration. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, Cool. Thanks, folks. Oh, yes, sorry, I should have, Latine Young Dems should have had their vote. But okay, you'll have your votes in Slack. Okay, sorry about that, Ruben. I always fucking forget. Celine, I think you missed the beginning part of the meeting, but James had some updates on SD7 forum / debate, and then he had to leave, I think. So I'll turn it over to James just to talk about those updates real quick.
Sounds good.
Yeah, just thank you. Just to make it really quick. So based on my understanding, Shania has agreed to volunteer to film, which is amazing. We don't know what their equipment is, so that is part of the issue. That is why we're having a slight longer conversation than need to. Tina is going to be backup. There's going to be a tripod. Either way, someone's going to need to log into their account, so that way they can stream it on our Facebook unless there's other modems to do so. And then finally, Nelson, one of the, I guess, friends of EBYD, who, I believe he is volunteering for Javanka's campaign. That's based on my understanding. But he has offered to help us video and record and stream the event. He does have a $7,000 camera that he can use that is very high production, that will have clear faces, and also is able to better capture the volume. Keep in mind, there is a good chance that he might not be able to because his dad is going through surgery, but he did say that if he does it, he is able to clip all the candidates' opening statements for us and give it to us and give us, well, obviously he's going to give us the raw video too, but he can help us clip the videos and we can gift it to all the candidates for participating. So these are all the options that are on the table. Like I said, even with Nelson, I don't know if he can show, but these are just all the options on the table and just wanted to make sure everybody's on the same page. Thank you.
Cool. Does anyone have any questions on anything James just said? Okay. And for anyone who doesn't know, by the way, we should give some context. We are hosting a State Senate District 7 event on this Thursday, from 6 to 8 p.m., although doors open at 5:30. It's going to be at Fluid 510 in Oakland. It's pretty near BART. And we're going to have all of the candidates come join us. They will answer questions. We'll have them all on a panel. They'll answer questions. They'll talk to each other. And it should be a fun, interactive event. So we would love to see everybody here if possible. And tell your friends this is an open event. So feel free to share. Otherwise, I think we can come back to this. We do have an agenda item for updates and further planning and whatever, but we'll move on to the next part of the agenda and we'll come back to that if that sounds good to everyone. Okay, cool. So next on the agenda, I'll turn it over to Celine to talk about Alameda County Housing Element.
Hi, everyone. I'm Celine, the Policy Director for EB Young Dem. Let me screen share. Let's see, how do I screen share? Okay, got it. And thank you, Richard, for hosting while I was on my way home due to delay at BART. How do I make it bigger? And just to let you all know, this is not my slide. I actually borrowed this from the planning department of the Community Development Agency of Alameda County. I know about it because I work as a district director through Supervisor Tam, and this concerns the unincorporated area. Let me see. Wait, how do I make it bigger? Oh, there we go. Okay. And also my computer's a little bit laggy. Okay, so basically unincorporated area. So Alameda County was supposed to create an housing element and submit it by January 31st, 2023. Unfortunately, they did not meet the deadline. I believe they have about a year. They asked for extension. They have about a year to submit it, and then basically they have to have a draft and have the public to give feedback and then present it to the board, and then actually finalize everything and then submit it to the state. So currently, let me make sure you guys are able to see the top, right? Because I'm not sure if this is in the way. Okay, so right now the draft housing element is available on the website, and also it's now open for public comment. And the meeting will be held to provide opportunity for anyone to make an input, like even if you don't live in unincorporated area. And this is quite concerning because in the unincorporated area, a lot of people who are in need, they have a language barrier. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't know how to voice in, especially like Ashland, Cherryland. And then a lot of people live in San Lorenzo or very NIMBY. So it wouldn't do any good for a lot of people who are younger generation if they are against housing. And then basically once they finalize, they have to present to the board September 21st. And then they have 90 days to review as required by the state law. And then basically the element has overview of the document and relevant regulation and a summary of the housing project, and then the adequacy of available housing sites and housing resources, and then the housing plan, how are they going to reach those goals and policy related to housing in the county. And this is like their methodology and how they assess how many housing are available so they can build houses. And I'm going to skip over. So right now, they found about 4,711 units. And then they also divided by like what are the percentage, how they're going to build housing, and they have categories for what would be considered low income, and also they will be categorized by how many people are living in the household. And in the slideshow, I want to show you guys. So this is right now they identified total of 472 sites. And 250 sites are vacant, and they have 74 sites that are pipelined to housing projects, so are already in the process of making housing. And then I really want to showcase, so because they actually found about 4,706 units. And then in the Eden area, 2,211. And Castro Valley, 1,978, and Fairview, 323. So in the unincorporated area of Alameda County, they divide it in mainly 3 areas, like Castro Valley. So they have a Castro Valley MAC, and then Fairview MAC, and also Eden area MAC. And an Eden area MAC contains, it includes Ashland, Cherryland, Hayward Acres, and also San Lorenzo. And then of course, there's also unincorporated Pleasanton and also other ADUs. So when calculating everything, they actually have 5,034 units. But of course, they won't be able to build houses for all of them because they have to find developers. They have to also account for the cost. So not everything can be developed, even though they have found spaces that they can. Right now, these are the key inventory sites, including Bayfair, Castro Valley, BART station, TODs, County Radio Communications Station, that's in Castro Valley, The First Presbyterian Growway site, also in Castro Valley, the San Lorenzo Village area, and also the pipeline site in the East County, and that's in Pleasanton. And I do want to really want to emphasize on San Lorenzo Village, because that's also where I live very closely to, and a lot of people have been in opposition of developing on the site where the Crunch Fitness is. And a lot of them tend to be older and also homeowners. They just don't want changes, and they have been opposing. That's why I really want to see if just like informing everyone here to make sure that we have housing or have more housing in development. So a lot of us don't need to move away. Instead, we can just continue to stay here. And also, in addition to that, they also have former Cherryland Place, and also the field behind Grant Elementary, which is in San Lorenzo, and then Carpenter's local Union 1713 parking area. And when I was at the Eden Mac, which is comprised of Hayward Acres, San Lorenzo, Ashland, and Cherryland residents, a lot of them are concerned that a lot of the units are in Ashland and Cherryland, because they really want to emphasize on trying to get more open space for people to go to parks. And also there's this a lot of apartments in that area. And they are also wondering why all of the low-income units that are greater than 30 units per acres, all like centered in Ashland, Cherryland. So they want to see if they can lessen that, but at the same time still provide low-income families to live in the unincorporated area. And this shows like, I guess like a zoom in information of where the sites, the inventories, and everything that's highlighted or in blue, it's a low income units, and they tend to be denser and have a higher density. And then green is moderate, or dark green is moderate, and then lighter green is above moderate, and orange is multiple income categories. And let's see. And then basically they will have more meetings in the future to get more community input. So I was just at the Eden Mac area or the Eden Mac meeting to get feedback. And they also just had one for Fairview. And then actually tonight they're having one at Castro Valley. And then they'll have a workshop at the San Lorenzo Library. And then it'll go through Agricultural Advisory Committee, and then the Planning Commission September 5th, and then the Board of Supervisors September 21st. And if you have any suggestions, please do go on the website and then submit comments by email, or even give them a call or mail your comment. And that is all from me. Does anyone have any questions? Caleb.
Yeah, my big question is anyone in the Board of Supervisors giving your planning department grief for being so spectacularly behind the 8 ball on this? I mean, the deadline to adopt a housing element was in January, which, to be fair, everyone missed. But the current timeline that I see here, considering HCD's review periods, which they have a very strong tradition of always taking the maximum time possible, would probably put you on track for adoption in realistically somewhere in February to April 2024, maybe. So more than a year behind. So I'm just, I mean, I don't want to give you a hard time, Celine, because I know that you weren't responsible for the housing element. But I mean, basically almost every other community in the area was trying to do at least something, even the folks down in like Marin and San Mateo County. So the radio silence out of Alameda County was kind of disturbing for like all of 2022.
Yeah, and that was also one of my concern as well, and also all the board supervisor. It is hard, just to let you guys all know, this is not the department that I work for. But we have been really pushing them like, hey, you guys have to meet the deadline, because if they don't meet the deadline, it will cost the county even more. Like, so all of our taxpayer, especially unincorporated area, I believe they would get fined if they don't, if they don't complete it in time. And I think they already have an extension for a year, but no.
There's no provision to extend the deadline.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's why, it's really important that I would love to get all your ideas and how to like push through it, because like I said, unincorporated area, it's a lot of low income. They don't know how to advocate for them. And especially right here, we have a lot of great minds. And also a lot of you guys are pro housing, which is also what we need right now to really push for it. Because unfortunately, I know we have some development in San Lorenzo that they want to be built, but then a lot of people would go through homeowner association. So I don't know if you guys know, but San Lorenzo has the biggest homeowner association in the nation, and a lot of them have been pushing against housing development. And then yeah, the owner of the land, unfortunately, he got really mad. And then so a lot of developments have been delayed because of all these oppositions from the homeowner. So that's why, yeah, please give me tips and advice on how I should even give feedback to the supervisors. And yeah, and I actually didn't know, like I thought they had an extension. Okay.
No, they're just really far behind. I mean, they probably won't get fined right away. But right now, anyone can build anything and anywhere that's residentially zoned in the county through builder's remedy. And yeah, and then at a certain point, it will have potentially funding implications for affordable housing funding. So I hope that Alameda County is not going to miss out on any state grants because of this, but the board of supervisors really should be holding somebody's feet to the fire about this.
Yeah, yeah. And if you guys ever want to speak to the supervisor about it, like I would love to help, like, coordinate a meeting, because I know you guys are experts. A lot of you guys are experts on housing element. Unfortunately, I'm not one of the experts. That's why I skip a lot of the slides. But unfortunately, the person that I really want her to present, she's unable to make it tonight. So I just, give you guys a gist of what I learned. And housing element is something that I'm not familiar with either until I got this job. So now learning about it, I was like, oh, no wonder a lot of people are not, like, they even try to have a survey, only 75 people responded. So we definitely need more input, not only more input, but also people who know about housing, to make sure that people are getting what they need. And a lot of people here, especially in unincorporated area, they have language barrier as well. So if they can't advocate for themselves, we have to somehow help. So I really rely on you guys to give me feedback, and I will also submit it to board supervisor.
Thank you very much. And thanks for bringing this important item to us tonight.
And thank you for the question, Caleb. And anyone else? Question, concerns, any ideas? Okay, Annie, please.
Sure. I mean, right, just voicing a general concern that it's not great that our county is so far behind on this. Again, of course, it's not your fault, Celine, but just as on a systemic level, it's not great. I just want to share that as a board member of Fremont for Everyone, we engaged really well with our city's draft housing elements, no, it's been passed. They did a good job. So offline, I'd be more than happy to connect with you and kind of share some of the things that we did, but we also were quite lucky to have many staff who really cared and really wanted to engage. I'm not suggesting necessarily that those at the county level don't want to. I have not engaged with any of them before, so I don't know them.
Thank you, Annie. I will definitely contact you after this meeting. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, we will move on to the next item.
Cool. Thanks, Celine.
Thank you.
Next item is we are going to be voting on an endorsement vote for the BART Board of Directors District 7 race. We only have one candidate right now in the race, and he is here. So Victor, feel free to unmute, and the floor is yours if you want to share anything.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all very much for the opportunity. My name is Victor Flores, he, him. I come to you as a current EBYD member, a former comms director, former VP of membership, president, and current VP of finance for the Latine Young Democrats and former regional director for the California Young Democrats. I'm running for BART because the current system is failing us. For too long, our transit system has been focused on moving suburban commuters to the urban core, leaving out all of our working class communities. I think as Ryan had mentioned, the vast majority of people who ride public transportation are not only working class, but they are woefully underserved. So I want to make sure that I'm bringing a public safety lens that focuses on non-armed enforcement officers. I want to make sure that we move away from fare box recovery as a primary source of funding by expanding the idea of what TOD on stations can be. I want to move us away from TOD. I want to move us into building community hubs. The station in your neighborhood should not just be a physical place where you go in and out of. It should be a neighbor within the community that actively works with all of the community members and the institutions to bring programming so that you feel safe every time you go in and out of BART. So I humbly request your support. I look forward to working with all of you to make sure that we are building healthy, thriving, and sustainable communities, because without public transportation, none of that's going to be possible. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Victor. So I think how we'll do this is if anyone has questions for Victor, we will entertain questions. Then once that is done, we'll politely ask Victor to leave the room. And then I don't know if we usually do discussion. If we do, great. If we don't, then we can just go into the vote. So does anyone have any questions for Victor? Annie.
Sure, I'll be nice. I'll give you a nice question. What are your top 3 priorities for BART?
Victor, you're on mute.
I was saying that's a perfect question. It is public safety, financial sustainability, and the Community Hub program, which includes the Hub for Hope, which is based off the Southeastern Pennsylvania Public Transportation Agency's Hub for Hope. So going back to my idea around public safety, it should not revolve around armed officers. It should revolve around activity, programming, reliability, cleanliness. And when it comes to community hubs, the Hope for Hub or Hub of Hope is a service center where rather than arresting and kicking our unsheltered neighbors from the BART trains, it would actually redirect them to the service center that would be on a transit line to provide them with food, water, a place to sleep, shower, as well as be connected with our county and CBO partners to make sure that they are getting the services they need, because transit has become the last social net that people are falling on. And if we're not doing our part, then we're going to fail them as well.
Thanks, Victor. Celine?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, are there any plans to make it more affordable for low-income families to ride BART besides the 20% off?
Yes. Well, that's the thing that I want to work on. I want to make sure that we're the enabling legislation that created BART mandates that the majority of the operation maintenance revenue comes from fare box recovery. This is based on conservative ideology from the 1960s, 1970s. And that has failed us, especially with working from home. So I do want to work with our state legislators to change that so that we can, along with our increase of revenue services, we could not be reliant on fares, and we could eventually move to decreasing those fares.
Thank you, Victor. Erica?
My question is around definitely the safety portion of BART. What are some of your ideas around rebuilding trust for the BART law enforcement and the community members, especially as we talk about like making space for creating safety around communities of color?
Victor, did we lose you?
Yeah, sorry. So when it comes to rebuilding trust within our communities of color, I think it goes back to making sure that when we talk about public safety, it is not around law enforcement, armed law enforcement. It is about providing services. It is about connecting folks, connecting with folks in the community. I think that BART, as it is, has been, we have some great board of directors currently, but it is an institution that has kind of just parachuted into communities and not fully engaged. So I'm looking forward to pushing staff to be far more connected with the community. And that begins at the station level, not from the district, the headquarters office. If the CBOs that are based in the neighborhood don't know their station agents, then that to me is already a rupture in trust. That to me is where we need to begin to build that trust, because you should know who your station agent is. You should know who cleans that station, and you should know who is in charge of dispatching folks to answer to distress calls or any of the public safety calls.
Thanks, Victor. Olivia?
Yeah, these are some really amazing ideas, Victor, and I definitely hope you get the chance to implement all of them, because I think that would make BART an amazing experience, and no one could ever argue driving a car with the BART station, with the BART system like this. But I am curious, what are kind of like your main strategies for funding this, all the things you're hoping to implement, just like kind of generally, because as we kind of heard today, like transit funding has been on the decline, and we definitely the state could do better. But curious about like your main strategies for increasing funding.
It all goes back to the community hub. So when I'm talking about developing at the stations, I'm not just talking about the air rights, right? I'm talking about how can we utilize the space within the stations more effectively and to build community to place make. So what I'm thinking about is, one, going back to the drawing board, looking at why kiosks or station shops failed in the first place and how we can improve on that to make sure that we are offering the pathway for entrepreneurs based in the community to have a chance to start their own brick and mortar. Because if you look at, I was also a member of the Oakland Latino Chamber, and one of the problems that entrepreneurs have is that when you're starting a business, if you want to go straight from street vending to a brick and mortar, we're talking about a 1,000, 2,000 square foot plate, $3 a square foot. we're talking about $3,000 to $6,000 a month in rent. You can easily do something very similar at a station with guaranteed foot traffic for 200 square feet. That is $600. So we're not just talking about the safety, we're talking about entrepreneurship opportunities. We're talking about more eyes at the station. We're talking about revenue. So back of the envelope math, if we were to lease out 2,000 square feet at every station, there's 50 stations at $3 a square foot, we're talking about at least $50 million per year in additional revenue. And that's just back of the envelope math, right? Not every station, of course, not every station's gonna be feasible, but we can make it work, we can make it happen. We just need to be bold enough to envision that.
That is phenomenal. I would have never thought about that. That's an amazing idea. And I think on top of that, it just, like as you kind of mentioned with community, just makes things a lot more cohesive and inviting. And like, of course, I'm going to stop by and get a burrito on my way home from work after a long day. So yeah, especially like the, you know, more denser parts of where BART is like, you know, more densely used and out and located. So yeah.
Great, thanks. Any other questions for Victor? Cool. All right, Victor, we are going to politely ask you if you could drop off the call, and then we will go into our usual things of how to do this.
All right. Thank you all so much. I'm running for BART District 7, currently held by Latifah Simon, and I look forward to being able to work with you to help BART reach its full potential. So thank you all so much.
All right, cool. Can someone remind me if we usually go into discussion?
It's optional. We have sometimes done that in the past. But
Okay.
it's your call.
I would like for folks, if you have an opinion, to like share your opinion, but also recognizing that we're a little running over time. So I guess if anybody has a comment, make the comment. And then if it sounds like everybody sort of is along the same lines, then I'll just close discussion. We'll go into voting. So does anyone have any comments or anything to share? Cool. Okay, that was very simple. It was, yes, Caleb.
But if it's not too early, I'd like to move that we endorse Victor Flores for BART Board District 7 by acclamation.
Is there a second?
I can second that.
Okay, cool. Caleb makes the motion, Erica seconds. This is by acclamation. Again, if you are a voting member, then you're eligible to vote. I'm sorry to everyone else. All right. I guess vote here. Okay, I guess vote, or if you would like to support Victor. I guess let's vote by acclamation. Okay.
Aye.
And
Aye.
cool. Any against? Oh shit, I forgot to count. That's okay.
You don't need to count. As long as there's no objections.
Any objections? Everybody lower your hands, raise your hand if you're objecting to by acclamation. Celine, are you objecting to by acclamation?
No,
Okay.
sorry, I forgot to lower my hand.
No worries. Okay. I think so by acclamation, then we've done it. All right, we EBYD are endorsing Victor Flores for BART Board of Director District 7. Ruben, do you want to do your Latine Young Dems vote here or on Slack? Ruben, I didn't hear you if you said something. Okay, cool. All right, great. So that is done. And for the rest of this meeting, we only have one item left, which is candidate endorsements, committee updates. I'm gonna, given that we have an event, a pretty big event coming up in 3 days, I'm gonna skip over the other races and just focus on 10, I think. Oh, 10. Okay, great. Thanks. Thanks, Tina. And focus on the Senate District 7 event coming up in 3 days. So I want to bring back what James said. I want to bring back what everybody has said over the course of planning this event the past couple of weeks. It looks like we're in good shape to rock and roll. We're still finalizing some kinks over recording and live streaming, but does anyone have any questions or any comments? Olivia?
Were you pulling my leg yesterday, or were there actually like any changes to the debate format that I missed?
I probably lied. I was probably pulling your leg. Sorry. I enjoy doing that sometimes.
This is why, you know what? Okay, all right. Wait till your real birthday. All right, just wait till your real birthday. You have something coming.
Flying is really fun. It's one of my favorite pastimes. Any other
We
questions?
know you're in politics.
Thank you, Annie. Any questions around the event? Do we want to discuss the time or not? Excuse me, not timekeeper. The recording live streaming situation. How do we move forward here? Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
I just wanted to add to steps that people have taken to find somebody to record. Just a quick shout out to Tina. Thank you for volunteering again. But I do recall Shania, who's the spouse of one of the OUSD 5 candidates. She has expressed interest after the social. I did reach out and texted her this evening, but I haven't gotten a response since then. I'll share it in the chat if they have, but also Tina, let us know if you need anything. I think there was a micro SD card mentioned for storage, just in case we're recording the whole debate. And I have a camera that can be used, I think, and at least to take pictures.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
If you'd rather have it on a camera than a phone.
Yeah, either one, it works fine with me. Just let me know what I need to
And
bring.
James is generously loaning a tripod.
Okay, cool.
Yay. Sorry
Okay.
to interrupt.
Cool. No, you're good. I just want to make sure we have like the logistics right for whoever is going to be. It sounds like Shania until she confirms, but are we just recording the event? Are we live streaming this? Are we just if we're live streaming, are we just doing Facebook? Are we doing Zoom?
What have you guys normally done for debates?
Ruben?
Yeah, my only I think we have tried that in the past. Like live streaming to Facebook, but it's always tricky. I mean, like lots of clubs during the pandemic, we tried to do hybrid stuff, and it's always just kind of weird. I don't per se see the value of a live stream event unless we're gonna try to like force one of our members to kind of like actively be monitoring that. Otherwise, I think recording it is the best we can strive for, and then we could just upload it on the EBYD's YouTube channel as a permanent resource. But I don't know if it's worth the headache of trying to live stream it.
I see some thumbs up. I personally would also agree. The reason why live stream is even a conversation is because we did, for transparency's sake, we did get one of the candidates who asked us if we were going to have that as an option because they wanted folks to have the option to participate in the event, even if they couldn't make it in person. But I also feel like being in person is kind of the point of the event.
If that's the case, then why? I mean, I don't necessarily, I mean, unless it's for accessibility, oh, like I could understand that, but if they just want someone to participate, and I just think it's going to be a lot of work, like Ruben said, to monitor. Like, I think if we can have we don't even know who's gonna actually be able to record. And this is on Thursday, so I rather the board not be stressed about this aspect and just focus on what we can hit home on.
Okay, cool. I think that settles that then. Erica, let us know when Shania responds, and then I think we're good to go. Erica, I think you said you were good for timekeeping, is that right?
Yes, still
Okay.
good.
Cool. And then Ruben and Olivia are going to be our co-moderators. And Caleb will be our mic runner for any audience questions. And we would really love for y'all to show up. And Ruben did put in the chat. If anyone has any questions that they want to ask the candidates, we will have a part to do that. Okay. Olivia is very ambitious, already thinking about this. But let us know if you have any questions, and we're trying to amass and gather questions from different sources on what we could ask them. So always appreciate feedback or any suggestions here. When are we accepting questions till? So I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe the Eventbrite actually has a field text response of like, if you are interested in asking a question, feel free to type in the question. So I don't know if we have a cutoff date.
Could we have a cutoff date?
We could have a cutoff.
Only to like only to like consolidate questions. I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on like how. Okay, I mean, I didn't know how many people were like actually submitting questions, but if it was like a sudden flood of questions, that would be a lot. But if it's not like a ton, maybe we can just keep it as.
This is Ruben. If folks want a cutoff date, I mean, we can go for that. But the way I wrote it on the Eventbrite also just kind of says like, feel free to submit a question that we can like potentially ask. So it's not like we're guaranteeing people. So I don't think we necessarily need a cutoff date. Folks can just kind of like keep doing it, because also technically we're going to have a live portion of the candidate where audience members can ask questions, and we're going to have a lot of like a question bank of backup questions in case no one in person asks a question. So I don't think we need a cutoff date.
Will all candidates have the same questions or each have different questions? Okay, that is a good question. Well, those are two good questions, and actually maybe it's best if we talk about the debate format, because we actually have gotten some questions from candidates on this, and it might be a little confusing. Let me see if I can pull it up and share screen really quick. All right, share screen. Can everyone see the screen? I'll zoom in a little bit, maybe. Okay, so the event is from 6 to 8 p.m. That's the actual programming. Doors will open at 5:30, and we actually encourage people to get there earlier, because the actual forum/debate will start at 6 o'clock pretty promptly. We've structured this so the first half of it is like a traditional forum format, and we will have questions to all the candidates, and they come from people who are asking questions on Eventbrite, EBYD members, and we'll also have, of course, Caleb in the audience to run around if anybody in the audience has any live questions. So that's the first half of the event, pretty straightforward. The second half gets a little bit more complicated. thanks, Denard. We're doing a debate format. The purpose of which is we wanted to make it a little bit more entertaining for folks because forums can be boring, but also give the candidates on stage like a chance to actually interact with one another instead of just with the moderators or with the audience or whatever. So that is really going to be each candidate. We're going to have them, on a stage. They're all going to have an opportunity to ask other candidates on the stage questions. And they can be pretty broad questions. It can be anything about, campaign stances, policy stances, previous votes, whatever, as long as it's civil and polite and respectful. And then candidates will obviously have a chance to respond to those questions, and other candidates on the stage can then join in on the conversation if they would like. Not mandatory, but if they have something they would like to add to the conversation. The purpose is really to get the moderators to take a step back and let the candidates foster a live discussion amongst themselves on the different issues. So that's sort of how the format is going to look like. Let me know if there are any questions.
I have a quick one.
Yes.
I know one of the candidates mentioned not wanting to participate as much in the inter-candidate debate section. Did we discuss how we're going to handle that? Did I miss that discussion?
Yeah, so actually, James had a conversation with that candidate and we're good to go.
Sweet, okay.
Let's see, Megan, what's the plan in case candidates don't ask questions or only a few questions are asked? Yeah, so we don't anticipate that just because there's still like there's only 40 or so minutes. And if you do the math, like each candidate will have a chance to ask a question, and then if we have time in the end, we'll do another round. We've asked candidates to prepare a couple of questions for a couple of different candidates for that purpose. If we do end up having time left over, then yeah, we're happy to open it up to audience Q&A, and it should be pretty simple. Any other questions or comments around the event? Anything we should focus on? Any last minute? Celine?
Will you guys ask the same question as the questionnaire?
You're saying for the forum part?
Yeah.
No, only because we already had the candidates fill out the questionnaires. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
These will be different questions. Yeah, these will be forum questions.
But are we using what they put in their questionnaire to inform some of the questions? Like, oh, hey, so-and-so, you said this in your statement. Can you please explain more? In your questionnaire, can you please explain more?
If that is something that, the questionnaires are public. If people want to ask questions based off of that, they're free to ask that.
Where are they posted again?
They should be on our website, Ruben, is that right?
Yeah, I put the original 4 that people on Eventbrite had posted. I'm updating some new Eventbrite questions asked. They're on the document that you created, Richard, with this debate format. But I'm going to be adding more right now as we speak.
Any other questions? Okay, cool. I'll stop sharing screen. And again, please share with anyone who might be interested in this event. We do want a good turnout for this. And as far as I'm personally aware, we are the first organization to be doing an event for this race of this kind of scale and magnitude. All right, I'll close this.
I'm gonna, before we close, Richard, I'm gonna say if everyone can try to bring at least 5 people, that would be really great, because if all our efforts combined, that means that we can multiply and compound. So please make sure that if you haven't already reached out to your friends, do so, and also bring friends, bring your colleagues, bring folks who are interested in this race. It is a really important thing that we're going first, with our two organizations. So this is a really great opportunity for folks to really see the candidates in full swing.
Thanks, Megan. And I will also just note, we will have an endorsement vote on this race after this event. And traditionally, how we've done it is EBYD members who are eligible to vote, who show up to attend the actual event, will then have the ballot and then be able to vote. So if you're an EBYD member eligible to vote, show up and you can vote. I'm going to close this item and open it up to general announcements if anybody has anything they want to share. Cool. Otherwise, we end only 1 minute after time and see you all on Thursday.
Thank you, Richard.
Bye.
Goodbye.